Welcome back to H-Lock Gaming, This Week in Godforge, episode 15. As of right now, recording this, Tuesday's video is out and Thursday's podcast is not. Tuesday's video has a lot of information as well as some visual stuff we haven't seen before. So I'm going to try and rapid fire through the Q&A that Simon talks about in the video and then show the visual stuff. I don't know how long that's going to be, so this may end up being the first two-part This Week in Godforge. I'm not sure, so we'll have to wait and see. But either way, let's get to Tuesday's video. All right, here we go. So, again, the big takeaway is Thursday's podcast will be a in-depth podcast on the beta itself, so stay tuned for that as well. Some stuff he did say about the beta is it's going to be pushed back to either late June, early July, so about a month and a half at this point. We'll wait and see. He did say they are restructuring it as well, so we'll find out on Thursday what that means, but he said you'll be able to win stuff. I don't know if that means like a hoodie in real life or stuff for when the game comes out, like if you get to keep in-game stuff from it. Although he does say later that stuff from the beta isn't going to carry over, so who knows what we're going to win? We'll have to wait and see. All right, Svarga has been removed. He said it's still an active religion, so as good of a job as they are trying to portray these gods in a positive way, it's just too risky, so they've removed it. The other faction name changes were due to their new head lore writer. He just wanted it to feel more in line with the other names for the other factions. As far as use for common and uncommons, he said no, they will not be as useful as legendaries, but they will have modes that they will be very useful in. What kind of player is Simon? He says a PvE player overall. He likes to, figure out challenges. I think he used the example of trying to figure out how to beat a boss. Will there be an easy way to re-roll? He says the way they're building the game, he doesn't think it'll be necessary. As far as tools built into the game to help content creators, a spectator mode, lobby, things like that. He said PvP, you'll have a friendly mode where you can challenge people within your clan. The clan will be able to watch, may not be there on launch, but it'll be there eventually. You'll also be able to create a custom lobby with 16 players for a PvP battle. Pay to win, no, but you will be able to pay to progress quicker. If you pull a bunch of shards, I forget what he calls them. They have a different name in this game. But if you get a bunch of legendaries, of course, you'll be able to progress faster than people without them. But a free-to-play player will be able to get to the same level eventually. Related to that, he said there will be at least 2 normalized game modes, one on launch. So there will be skill-based mechanics that doesn't matter what champions you have. Supporter pack, yes, there'll be different levels that include an art book and possibly a 3D printed statue as well as in-game stuff. Clans, yes, there'll be even a way to build clusters so you can transfer people between clans. Chat will be very robust and you'll be able to share builds with your fellow clanmates. Clan Wars will be post-launch. What's next for Fateless? Short-term, nothing. They're really focused on this game. Long-term, yes, they do want to make other games, and they've been approached to build games for other people, so we'll wait and see on that. And related to that, they said if they do make a new IP, they want it to be based on their same mythology, so it will be Godforge related. Fusions, yes, probably not every month, but there will be different opportunities to get a legendary every month, but not in a fusion, so we'll have to wait and see what that is. Presets for when you're running levels, yes. Trial function, meaning can you test a hero before you actually get them? He said to be determined. Someone asked if there's a cost to remove gear. He said no, but there is different costs as far as leveling up and attuning it. We've had a whole video on that. Unity versus Unreal. Unity is better for mobile games, he said. Bots to essentially allow this to turn into an idle game. He said no, which makes sense. Why would you want to make this an idle game? That's not how it's designed. Test server to be determined, but most likely. Will there be ways to bump up stats in multiple areas? Short answer is yes. Someone asked about PvP rewards versus PvE, said yes. Each area will be tuned towards that. Somebody asked the employee of the month. He basically laughed and said, we have too many good people. Can't tell you that one. Everyone's employee of the month. Mistakes you made in the last 6 months. He mentioned leaving timelines a little bit more loose. I don't know if that means to the public, but I kind of got that sense. Different modes, and he says, the PvP modes we've discussed here to do friendly stuff or set up kind of your own lobby. And he said, there will be a tower, so those are the few he mentioned. And again, somebody asked him something about the beta. He said, you'll see on Thursday on the podcast. When asked about esports, he said, we do want to have that normalized PvP mode. So maybe you'll have something there for esports. He was asked what they're most and least confident about. He said that they do need to kind of adjust things because it seems like it's taking a while to get the ultimates. He said that might be related to gear because a lot of his tests are without gear right now. So they'll have to wait and see. UI needs a bit of rework. He said the HP bar and the Divinity bars are going to be getting tweaked to look different. Somebody asked what feature would you like to see that's not in the game. He said there is one he's very fond of that's in older games, but he's not going to tell us what it is. And he says it's probably a long way off, but it'll eventually be in game. Are you going to have newer legends in there? He said yes. I don't see why not, but as of right now, there's an active choice to not have guns, so no gunpowder, so anything related to that couldn't be put into the game. But he said we'll see in the future. How is new content going to work? He said a lot of updates will be hero gears and quality of life stuff. You'll get maybe one of those a month, and then every few months we'll get bigger updates that are actually related to the story and are actually more content. And that was about it for the Q&A. All right, let's take a look at the new visuals. Okay, let's take a look at what's going to consist of some background changes, characters we're seeing for the first time in their character screen, or some stuff added to it, and some skills. So first off, Ra. Notice the change in the Aru background. There's no pyramids anymore. And keep in mind, this is a change, I believe, on every faction we see where my mouse is the flags actually wave, so they have some physics there. But he does click and kind of show the whole background, so let's take a look at that. Okay, here as well, you can see that the Olympus background has changed. Again, flag moving. All right, I believe this is the first time we have seen Izanami's model. I'll let it play because he does click and he's showing the character model. It kind of spins around it. Very nice, looking cool. All right, we're seeing Dracula's weapon here for the first time. He never does click to make all this stuff disappear, so we can't fully see it. But you can see it's a skull, and it has the sort of handle protector there. We've seen drawings of this, but cool to finally see that in game as much as we can. I'll let it play for a bit. That's about all we see of it, actually. Okay, here we see Isis. I think this is the first time we've seen her character like this at the character sort of a inventory screen, But yeah, looking great too, especially the headpiece. The detail on that is freaking crazy. Okay, here we got the Fisher King. He actually clicks and he does this cool little animation. Looks like he's drinking from his chalice. That's pretty cool. And I don't think we've seen his weapon in that amount of detail yet either. So, yeah. Like I said before, if you watch my other videos, I think Avalon is going to be my favorite faction, at least based on the visuals it is so far. Still waiting to see more of Merlin. That's who I'm going to be trying to get if there's any kind of boosted summons or anything for the real game. If there's something in beta, I doubt I'll spend. I'm a pretty low spending player to begin with, but we'll see. All right. I believe this is the first time we've seen the composite bowman. It's hard to see what his weapon is over there as well. So again, they're just getting weapons in game, at least for all these characters, even if the animations aren't there. I did also forget that the stats are over here, so take note of that if you're interested in that part. I'm not too interested in that yet because I feel like that's highly subject to change, whereas the visuals are not finalized but closer to being done. Okay, here we got the Neiman line. He looks pretty good. We get a brief look. The only thing I would say is, I don't know, fix his eyes. It almost looks like he's looking up, which looks kind of weird, but this part looks very good. That's about it. Then we get the Valkyrie, and we can see her weapon, which I think is new. Okay, we got Vidar now with his weapon and shield. He'll spin it a little bit. We don't see much, but just new. You can see his weapon a teeny bit. There's some green there in the middle. That's about it, but still very cool. Okay, here we got Asag. I don't believe we knew that was this character's name before, but we have seen this model, or at least a drawing of it. Take note of his chest, how the glyphs are kind of being highlighted by the lava inside of him. Very cool. Okay, here we see Lagatha's weapon with the skull on it, looking very cool. I believe that's new. And again, some of these I have to pause because he's literally on it like a second, so I can't talk about him even as briefly as I can with how fast he's moving because he's just scrolling through like you would on a character select screen. All right, here we have Azolda. I think that's how you say it. I believe this is the first time we're seeing this right here, even though we knew she was going to be in the game. All right, here we see Icarus, and keep in mind he's a rare, and we have this amount of detail in the rare, so that's pretty great just for, not even an epic or a legendary. Here we got Hippolyta, and we see her spear and her shield are now added. We don't really get to see much more of them other than this part of the spear, but it looks pretty good, right? Because you can see how it kind of has the fur matching her shoulders. Okay, here we got Shinigami. I believe this is the first time we've seen anything like this about him. I think we've only seen drawings beforehand, so this is a pretty big reveal right here, at least for me. But he looks great. You see his skulls on his belt. I don't know what the heck he killed there that has a human-like skull and a horn coming out of its head, but good thing he was around to stop it, right? Some mini demon or something. All right, here we got Maria Morevna. This is the first. She's not Olympus, so that's a placeholder. But this is the first time we've seen anything other than concept art. Spirit looks pretty cool there. Again, he just does a little short bit, so I can't really play it. But looking very cool. All right, here we got King Tut. We've seen him in stage, obviously, but here he is on the character select screen. Okay, here we got Pandora. I believe last time we saw this, her weapon, her little Pandora's box, was just sitting on the ground, so I'll let it play. They've added some idle animation where it starts to come open and she kind of screams or yells or I don't know what she's doing there, but opens her mouth in shock. So yeah, very cool to see that. And again, all that detail in just an epic. Here we got the Green Knight, somebody we've seen for quite a while. They put a lot of work into him early, but I just love him. And like I said, Avalon, that's going to be my faction, I think. Or at least my favorite. Okay, now we're going to take a look at some little within battle UI updates and some skill stuff. Here we have Emoptet. I think I'm saying that right. His fist skill, it looks like they slowed it down so you can see the fist better. I like it. Yeah, you could clearly see that fist there, so much better to me. So this is the first example of this, and we'll see several others, but Brunhild, you can see her skills in here instead of saying like basic and core, or rather B and C, you see this is obviously some type of piercing skill and then some type of shield skill. So it gives you a better idea of what you're doing. We'll actually see her use it here in a second. Okay, I'm going to start playing it here, even though it is Emoptet's turn. I believe Simon uses Brunhild's ultimate, and I think this is the first time we've seen this. Here we see set skills laid out. So again, you get the idea this is some type of attack, at least from that, because you see a melee weapon. And then possibly this is some type of attack or a buff as well. Okay, we see the knight's icons have been updated as well, and we're going to see it use its core ability where it puts some type of defense up on it. I think this is the first time we've seen this. Actually, we did see that demonstrated as far as they just showed us the shield part. They didn't show it with the VFX on the character. And also I didn't notice Simon did choose himself when he used it. So it appears you could put it on other characters. That's about all I saw for visual stuff. This is actually getting pretty long, so I think I will cut it here. And we'll call this, This Week in Godforge episode 15. And then later in the week, we'll have episode, 15.5. So it's still the same week. Thanks for watching. This has been H-Lock. Bye.